Alright, you just got a PS5 for Christmas. Or you already had one. But either way it goes, Wuthering Waves is coming to PlayStation on January 2nd. So, I think it's time to teach you new players that are coming on how to play the game. So let's get into it. Let's start off with the character's abilities. The ult, the echo, the skill, the gadget, the Forte circuit, and the Concerto energy. Those are all the character's abilities, okay? And if you're wondering what the little circle one is, that's the lock-on feature. Let's start off with the Concerto energy. So the Concerto energy, it has a gauge, as you can see. It needs energy to be able to use it. You get energy by doing attacks, doing whatever you are doing in a battle. Once that bar is full, however, you can cast this thing called an outro skill. And how you do that is by swapping into a different character when that Concerto energy is full. Now, what are outro skills actually good for? Depending on the character, the outro skill can increase a certain type of damage. Like, for example, this character states that the outro skill makes the incoming character have their basic attack damage amplified by 38%. Very good. For this character in particular, it's a little bit longer, look a bit confusing, but the most important thing is that it amplifies all characters' damage by 15%. A main DPS character will most likely have their outro just do damage. Now, the next thing that happens after an outro skill when you use it is that that character you're swapping into will cast their intro skill. Now, this mostly does damage, and sometimes it can do different things. Like, for example, this character you're staring at now, this lovely character, when you cast her intro skill, she'll get her Forte filled. But we'll get into that later. Now that you know that, I'll just show you quickly what that looks like, okay? We're going to use this character right here. Lock on to this guy. We're just going to, get our Concerto here. Alright. So now the bar is full. And I'm getting clapped. I'm not paying attention, okay? So now, when I swap into any character, alright, so I'm just going to press 1 here. It'll cast the next character's intro skill. And as you can see, I got the outro skill buff from that character right above the Forte. That little blue symbol. So that's how that works. You do attacks, do certain things to get the Concerto energy. Some characters are going to be faster than others at getting it. Alright, hopefully it doesn't sound too confusing. Now let's get into the Forte bar. Now this is the bar that is above the health, as you can see. This is what makes each character truly unique. It changes how they play and how you play them. How exactly do these work? Well, as I said already, they're unique to every character, so they work differently. For example, the lovely character you're seeing right now, she can't really fill up that bar by herself. She has to cast her intro skill to get that bar filled up. So I'll quickly show you what that looks like. Gonna get the Concerto energy. It is full, and you can tell that it is full by it looking full, and the characters on the screen are blinking as well. So now we'll swap into Camellia. That will cast her intro skill. And boom, as you can see, her whole bar is full. So that's how this character's particular Forte circuit works. And you'll see a button input next to it as well. That's basically telling you how exactly to use the Concerto. So this one is just left click. Anything you do with left click will use up the Concerto bar. And basically, for this character, it's just giving her stacks that make her do more damage, right? I'll swap into this character. What this one does, okay? She'll get a bunch of those stacks by just doing attacks and stuff. Pretty easy. And what she can do with that is just hold the click button. And I do apologize because this is going to be different for PlayStation users because you guys are obviously using a controller. So I can't really reference what button it's going to be for you guys. But for this character, you're just going to do a heavy attack, and she'll do that, which pulls enemies, they sucks them, really good. So how her bar works is doing a skill or an ult will, make that little teeny gauge a bit bigger. But how this works is you hold the heavy attack and then let go as soon as it's in the filled up portion, and you'll do a cool heavy attack like that. So that's how she works. Again, it's different for every character. So yeah, that's Forte Circuit. It adds more to a character's kit, makes them truly unique and awesome. Moving on, the next ability you'll see is a gadget. Now, in this particular gadget, you'll notice is a grapple. Grapple's good for exploring and also can be useful in the middle of combat. If there's an attack you can't really dodge normally by dodging, you can just use the grapple to get away from the enemy. You know, it works really good in combat sometimes. You can actually change this to whatever you want. You know, just go to the menu and go to utilities, and you'll have a bunch of different ones that you could put in this utility wheel, and whatever button it is to bring up the wheel, bring it up, and you can swap it to multiple different things, and swap it to a little gun thing, which isn't useful for combat, by the way, so don't make the mistake of trying to use this in combat. It does like 1 damage. This is mostly useful for puzzles, but you know, you can change it to a loot mapper thing, a sensor levitator. All the other stuff is mostly used for exploration, but you're mostly going to be using the grapple. So yeah, grapple is just easy for getting around, getting heights, and going into combat. It can be really good as well. Now, the next ability that I just accidentally fat fingered is your skill. Again, for all characters, it'll be unique on how the skill works. For this character in specific, it's a stance change, I guess you could say, a form change. I press it, she goes into this grounded mode. Her hair is white and normal, you know, and she does these attacks, which are very good for single targets. I press it again, she goes into the air mode, which is primarily good for area of effect. Different characters, it's different. For this character in particular, okay, it's a thing that heals, right? For this character, it's just a little attack, right? Which also helps getting her Forte Circuit. It works completely different for every character. Cooldowns are different. Moving on to the next thing you'll see is the echo. Now, these echoes are different depending on which echo you are using. So if you go to your character menu, go down here to the echo, click on this one. Anything that is in this top slot here, all right, you'll see there's slots down here and then one separated one here. This is the echo you use in combat. Depending on which one you're using, the gameplay is different. Like this one is actually really quick to use. You just do that very fast. Okay, say we change it to something like this. You'll actually transform into him and do multiple attacks like that. What are these echoes actually important for? Depending on the echo you are using, it'll give you certain buffs. Like this one, after the transformation, it increases the current character's havoc damage by 12% and skill damage by 12%. The main echoes you want to be using in this slot, by the way, are 4 cost echoes, and how you see their cost is, you know, the number on them. And yeah, they all do different things. They can all buff you in different ways, and you can use them in middle of combat. Now, the next thing you'll see is their ult. Again, the ult is unique to every character, and it has a energy bar similar to the Concerto energy. You see these characters are full, but this character doesn't have her ult yet, and you can only use your ult when that energy is full. Once it's ready, it'll be shiny, glowing, pulsating, and then you can just use it. Very good stuff, right? And another way, you might wonder, how do you tell if a character's ult is ready that's not on the field? If you look at the blue character, the number 2, you'll see a check mark right next to it. That means her ult is there and ready. Okay? See, just like that, it's ready. Okay? Now, how do you get energy with this? By doing anything you can, similar with Concerto energy as well. Any attacks will get ults, and characters that are off field will also get energy as well. Not as much as characters on the field, but they will. If we do outro intro, we get a lot of ult gauge right there, and then we can use that, right? Easy stuff. Now for the last simple understanding of things, I kind of forgot the main big thing of a character, and that's their normal attacks. This is just your normal attack. You just spam, click, whatever button it is going to be on controller. But if you hold said button, you'll do a heavy attack. Also different for each character. Another thing that I kind of forgot to do and show you is a character's plunge attack. You know, when you're in air, you just click your attack button and you'll do a plunge. Of course, different characters are different. Alright, for example, this character right here, you can't simply normal attack when you're in air. Because if you do that with her, she'll just do a mid-air basic attack, okay? Of course, after that Phoenix, if you click, alright, if you click after the Phoenix, you can plunge attack, alright? But you can also hold the button to just do it too. So some characters are different when you do their plunge, but that's how it is. Alright, now that we're done with all that, stamina. As you can see here, you'll briefly see it as I'm dashing. Alright, I'm just doing a simple dash. And you'll also notice that stamina is not being consumed while I'm sprinting. That's because when you're outside of combat, you have infinite stamina for sprinting. However, when you're climbing up walls, it'll of course use stamina, and then it consumes stamina when you're gliding too. Another thing that consumes stamina is your heavy attack. Let me show you more in combat. You'll do a dodge, okay, which will consume stamina. Even if it's a perfect dodge, it'll consume stamina, but it recharges pretty quickly. Of course, if you're dodging the whole time, you know, if you're just spamming, you're gonna run out of stamina very, very, very fast. If you hold the dodge button, which will put you into sprint mode, you'll of course use stamina because you're in combat. But yeah, that's how stamina works. Now, let's get into the dodge. Alright, so as you see there, if you dodge at the right moment, okay, not get hit like that. Dodge at the right moment, you get a cool little sound effect, a cool little visual effect of perfect dodging, right? That, of course, means you didn't get hit. You didn't take damage. You're good. You got iframes. Another thing that you can do when you dodge is do a counter attack or a dodge attack, if you will. I'll show you what that looks like. All you got to do is dodge, press your basic attack, and you'll do a counter attack like that. Just like that. Now, the dodge attack actually can lead into different things, into a character's normal attack string or whatever. Another thing you can actually do with said dodge attack is use it for iframes as well, because it has iframes. So, what happens is you can delay it a little bit and time your iframes. Got dodging out of the way, let's get into the parries. This particular enemy has a lot of parryable attacks, which you'll see are those rings that come up. Like that one. How to know when the parry is when the ring is perfectly closed and centered and will flash for a brief moment. Okay? What you got to do at that moment is simply use a normal attack. Alright? Or a heavy attack or a skill or whatever. It can be parried by multiple things, but I'll get into that in a second. Let me just show you what it looks like when you parry. When you parry good. I'll show you. Right here. Lock in. And parry! Just like that. He'll get stunned for a brief moment. You know, just like that. Very easy. Attacking at the right time. And I kind of just one-shot him. Whoops. What can parry an enemy? So, normal attacks can parry. Heavy attacks can parry at the right moment. Skills can parry at the right moment. Ults can parry at the right moment. Sometimes even your echoes. Intro skills can also parry. Very nice. But what can't parry? Rectifier characters, which are more ranged attacks, alright? Depending on their kit, they actually won't parry. However, I do think a common thing with rectifier characters is that their heavy attacks can parry and their dodge attacks can parry. Not all the time like a melee character like her. Characters that can't parry like at all. Pistol characters. They can't parry at all. The only thing that could parry with them is their echo probably. Which sucks, but kind of understandable because they have the advantage of range. Moving on to an enemy stagger bar. The stagger bar is the white bar underneath the enemy's health bar. How you break this is by doing attacks, doing anything. But there are easier ways to do this. For example, parries, in my opinion, are the best way at doing this and probably is the best way at doing this. As you can see, I parried. Did a good load there. Alright, did a good load there. Show you one more time if I don't suck at the game. Alright, there you go. Did a good amount. You can also dodge attack, which does it a good bit, you know. Just like that. You can do an echo skill, which does it a decent bit, right? Forte will do it pretty good. Another thing that does it really good is doing a character's intro skill. So we'll cast our current character's outro skill and go into the next character for their intro. So I'll show you what that looks like. I'm an idiot. We'll do it from this character. So cast the outro into the intro. See, it did a good bit there. All right. Yeah, see, does it a good bit, right? I'm going to let him wake up real quick. And of course, I'm probably going to kill him here. Yeah, I did. But ults will break the bar a lot quicker as well. Of course, Stagger Bar, just as it sounds, is useful for staggering the enemy. And he'll sit there like a little bitch, all right, and let you attack him for a good few to get some damage in. The next thing we need to talk about is something that is very intricate and takes a bit time to actually learn, and that is called quick swaps. What are quick swaps? For example, you're playing a character and they have long animations that you can kind of get stuck into. You know, sometimes you don't want to be stuck in it. What do? Swap into a different character while that animation is playing. So then that character is still playing its animation off field. So I'll show you what that looks like. There are different ways you can quick swap. The character I'm actually using now is very reliant on quick swap, I'll say. It's very good. So I'll do her Forte heavy attack, which looks like this. As you can see, it's a pretty long animation. It really is. Now, we'll quick swap it. So I'll show you what that looks like when I stop getting bodied. So I'll cast the heavy attack and then I'll swap while it's doing it. Unfortunately, blood teleported away, so you cannot really see if the character was actually doing the animation still. So let me get it back here so I can just prove it to you. I'll do it again. As you can see, she's briefly off field there, still casting the animation, while I could swap into this character and do some of her stuff. Normal attacks can also be quick swap, kind of like that, right? Not the craziest thing. The other thing that can be quick swap is echoes. Some echoes are better to just use them on field rather than quick swap them. But one of the best is this character's echo, which is a Hydra Dragon, a bird. Show you what it looks like without quick swapping. You do that like that. Yeah, sometimes you don't want to go flying in the air with it. I'll cast the echo and swap. And you saw it do it there. You didn't really see it, but you saw the impact explosion from it slamming down. Very useful stuff. Can help you play your team better depending on what the team is. You know, very good for many things, all right? But again, I will say it does take time to learn depending on your team and characters. Plenty of videos that go more in depth on it, especially for your particular teams that you're using. So that is the basics to how to play the game. I'm sorry if any of it sounded confusing. I do apologize. But if you have any questions, just let me know down below and I'll be sure to try and answer them the best I can. But yeah, that's how you play this game, essentially. Of course, it takes practice to get used to everything. Holy goddamn, those personalities are huge. Thank you so much for watching. I hope this video was useful for you. Again, any questions, let me know down below. If you want to see more from me, a like and subscribe would be very much appreciated. Thanks for watching. I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye-bye.